Thoughts, baby. A million little lights in the dark. You're one fine instrument, brother. All those faces and all those names. All that laughter and screaming and scheming around. Every corner and every street.
Recorded in you forever on ferrotape.
Spinning in eternity.
On and on it goes, for untold hours. At the disco where you first asked her to dance. Rising, rising, above the dark curvature, the great wingspan of sleep, studded with stars.
Behold, there are millions of them down there. The first time, the last time, the smoke in her mouth, the plotted flowers, the faces turning, changing.
What is it?
It's the world, Harry boy, and you're made of it. Every day you're out there, you make more of yourself from it. I'm afraid you can't be unmade now. You can never forget this shit.
The rain, the snow. I don't want to, it's beautiful.
Beautiful. It's stuck on loop, whirling, spitting out words and images.
You're the son of the world again. Harrister, a ceaseless agent. Picking up litter and old newspapers, collecting your little bubblegum wrappers and idiotic picture postcards. Meaningless, meaningless keepsakes.
Reading your awful letters and recalling things, aren't you? The endless names of the world. An address book you are. The map of a city.
But what if I want to be an agent of nothing?
It's too late. You're not made of nothing anymore. You're something now, Harry. I tried to drown you in the black water, but you re-emerged, kicking and screaming, running. And for what?
For the working class.
Solving your little crossword puzzles. Doing your tasks. Crossing names off lists. Trying to become some sort of world detector. It won't make it okay. It won't put smoke back in her mouth.
I'm building communism for all. This time we won't fail. There he goes again. He's a real political mind, our Harry. He still doesn't see it's the world that's changing him.
He's got no idea what he's in for.
Why?
'Cause only love can break your heart.
Feel the pillow under your cheek.
Beep, beep, beep. The alarm is ringing, Harry. The disco circus goes on and on. You barely slept 3 hours last night.
You can do it. It's nothing. Do it for the city. Go. Do it for the wind.
Open your eyes. Communism engaged.
Rise and shine, comrade. It's time to get to work.
What's going on?
Despite all the thinking you've been doing, only 0.0001% of communism has been built. It's too great a task to undertake alone. You're going to have to get organized.
Have you seen my shit recently? I've already got... oh, no, that's not. I didn't read the second line in time, which conveys the opposite feeling of what I thought. Judging by the state of my ledger, I don't think that's possible.
The condition of your paperwork is irrelevant. All that matters is your commitment to building the World Republic. You must seek out your revolutionary brothers and sisters. Find out how much communism they've built. Then, together, maybe you'll be able to build as much as 0.0002% of communism.
Damn, that's numbers.
But it won't be easy. Decades of persecution by coalition authorities have driven the remaining communists of Martinaise underground.
But I'm part of the coalition authorities. Have I been persecuting communists this whole time?
Possibly. If you have been, it's only because you're a double agent acting in furtherance of your long-term objectives. Regardless, what's past is past. You need to look forward to the work of building communism for all.
Will they help me fire up Mazov's socialist sausage grinder?
Just between us, you may want to lay off this grind up the bourgeoisie stuff. It's a bit off-putting, even to fellow communists.
How am I supposed to find them if they're hiding?
Let your nose guide you, detective.
You mean my nose, as in my huge and highly functioning brain?
No, we meant your nose, as in that swollen muck detector in the center of your face. It just happens to be perfectly calibrated for sensing communists. We really have no idea what they're talking about. There's no linkage between ideology and olfaction.
What does communism smell like?
Failure.
There's so much failure in my life already, I don't know if I can take anymore.
That's why you're perfect for the job. No one's got a better nose for failure than you, Harry. What you're smelling is your own body odor, of course. Nothing a shower and change of clothes couldn't fix. People sometimes complain there are no real communists left in Martinaise, but you can smell their presence. They're out there, waiting for you to join them. Incidentally, during the waning days of the anti-centennial revolution, a number of Revacholian communards constructed elaborate hideouts in abandoned root cellars, hollowed out tree trunks, and even residential sewage tanks. This latter phenomenon gave rise to the early anti-communist slogan, "The future's bright when you flush out the white."
Okay, I'm ready. Let's get organized.
First, you'll have to locate the remaining communists in Martinaise. When you get near to someone with revolutionary potential, your nose will give you the signal to establish contact. Again, no, it won't. Any olfactory response you perceive will be strictly psychosomatic.
Hang on, what will I do once I establish contact with my fellow communists?
You'll discuss the monumental world historical task that lies before you. You'll engage in rigorous and spirited debates about Mazovian theory and practice. But mostly, you'll probably complain about other communists.
Is this just Twitter? Isn't that last part kind of counterproductive?
Not at all. Complaining about other communists is one of the most important parts of being a communist.
All right, let's get to it.
Here we go. Wake, brave worker. 'Tis no time for bed. Fight till there's no slaves below and no masters o'erhead.
Whew. It's finally happening. All right, I think I'll just do an intro here because I don't even want to think about editing the mess of footage that I have up until now. I have spent a long time trying to get to the point of making the new content trigger. I figured I would just load into any like pre-shootout moment of the game and just like go find characters that you can talk to that make the story happen. Nope, not that easy. Nope. Turns out, well, I couldn't find any information about this online. It was really frustrating actually. So I gave up and asked on Twitter, and funnily enough, someone that whose profile name is Class J Simp. So named after, so like the character in this game, they were able to give me more information about what to do, which is that it has to be, you have to pursue one of the political ideologies, which communist happened real fast in this playthrough, and then you have to go to sleep on the third night. And that was more of a problem than it sounded like, because yes, I have saves from throughout this entire everything. I have so many saves, like, oh my goodness, and they're all named. Sometimes not entirely helpfully, but some of them are even day numbers, so that's nice. So I was able to find near the end of day 3. I'm like, okay, there we go. Cool. I didn't have $20. At the end of day 3, the bridge is not open yet, and there's nowhere to sleep but this room, and I didn't have $20 to pay for the room, and so that became a thing. I kind of had to relearn how to make money again. I couldn't find any terror. I was able to find the pawn shop eventually. It's been a thing. It's definitely more ideal to experience content like this just all at once, organically, as part of your playthrough, you know. But as far as what's going on here, hey guys, as if you somehow don't know, I did a whole playthrough of this game already, and I beat it. This is going to be like a side story that canonically we just pretend happened at some point during the playthrough, I guess on day 3, or day 4, because that's what day it is. It's a side tangent in the story. But the thing about the DLC, because they put, for those that don't know, they made a Disco Elysium Final Cut, a free update to the game. I guess the game did well, because they added full voice acting, which is neat. Don't totally love everything about it. The voice acting itself is good. I don't love the fact that all of my internal brain people are all the same voice, and I don't know if it would have been better to have the one guy try to do 24 different voices, or to have 24 different voice actors, or maybe one voice actor for each of the body stats doing 6 voices each or something. But he seems to do every single one of these skill checked voices as one person in the same tone of voice, and that's a little disappointing, because it's just kind of, it doesn't, you know, obviously, like, when I was playing this game, I tried to, like, give them all different tones and feelings here and there, and obviously it was hard to keep all the voices straight, but it was like, it just felt like they all have different personalities, so they should all sound different. Having, like, multiple stats trigger back to back, and having, like, the one that's your drug addiction, and the one that's your encyclopedia nerd brain, and the one that's your drama, and the one that's your conceptualization, having all those sound the same, I don't know, I feel weird. It doesn't feel ideal. Other than that, though, the voice acting's cool, though. I've been tinkering with it a bit because I've been trying to get where I'm going. But yeah, the main thing is that they added new missions to the game, and so we're going to pursue the storyline available in this playthrough, because I wanted to experience it as the character I liked. Because yes, I've talked about maybe doing a new playthrough of this game at some point, but on top of just experiencing the final cut voice acting and some changes and so on, obviously I'd want to change my playstyle, and since I played a character I liked in this playthrough, the sorry cop communist, that probably means next time would be like an apocalypse cop fascist. That's a bummer. That's going to be a real bummer of a playthrough in general, honestly, if I ever get around to it. And like, only experiencing this DLC in that context seems like a bummer, so I want to see the version that I get playing as the character I actually like. So that's why we're doing this sudden, really late bonus. Ideally, this would have been, I would have played the game with the content already released, but you know, you never know that the stuff's going to come out. I don't think even the developers knew they were going to add content to their game, because it just did shockingly well. So we're coming back a year later. This is probably where I can find a lot of communists, if I were to guess. It's really weird thinking, like, this playthrough ended, you know, there we go. This playthrough ended in January 2020, so just think about that. Like, within a month or so, suddenly the proper inklings of, like, what was happening with the COVID pandemic were gonna start really becoming noticeable. Like, it was like this last moment before the world kind of changed. It's funny that this playthrough is kind of in amber in that way. And if you go back to the episodes, there's just no hint of COVID because it's like the most recent possible thing on the channel that wouldn't have been touched by it, I suppose. There goes that, though.
There. Do you smell that?
Smell what?
Can you not detect that inimitable whiff of dissatisfaction and restlessness? That sense that the world is in need of dramatic, even violent reordering?
Does that mean there's a communist nearby?
Undoubtedly. And the scent is coming from that railing over there.
Mañana? Oh, do you mean mañana?
Yes, now's your chance to establish contact. But be easy about it. Communists have been known to charge when startled.
They've been known to charge when startled. So unfortunately I can't even show all of the new content, but it's cool what they did. They apparently made a quest chain for each of the 4 political ideologies in the game. And so your particular playthrough has a particular chain, so this is the one I get.
Hola, wandering man. How can I help you?
Listen, brother, there's something important I need to talk to you about.
What's that, boy? Yeah?
He tilts his head slightly.
Now's your chance. Remember, communists are notoriously skittish, so it's best to insinuate your way in. Hold on. This isn't a man who goes in for subterfuge. He prefers someone who'll look him in the eye and say exactly what's on his mind.
I'm looking for people who know how to really grind a sausage, if you know what I mean.
Have you tried a butcher shop?
He looks at you with perfect equanimity. Listen, I believe there's a cell of radical communists operating in Martinez. Can you help me find them?
Now, that is an important subject, but also a sensitive one. Still, good of you to just come straight out with it. No beating around the bush.
He smooths the twin bars of his mustache.
Yes, he certainly has a way of just coming out and saying things that normal people wouldn't.
So you've given up copying and now you're hunting comunistas. Care to say why?
I'm not hunting communists, I'm trying to get organized by them.
Oh, I see.
He gives you an exaggerated wink.
I wish I could help. Unfortunately, I don't know many comunistas.
Are you sure you smell like a communist?
Didn't realize you could smell communism. But then, I've never studied the subject.
Maybe it's not taught in any of your so-called universities, but there's definitely something going on here.
Ah, but you know, I did meet a genuine Ideolocal a few months ago. Perhaps he's your guy.
He snaps his fingers before that part. They're doing the Pillars of Eternity 1 thing where they voice act stuff that's in the middle of the in the middle of the paragraph of voice acting. There'll be descriptions, but they skip over them, which puts me in a weird space where I'm like, do I read those? What's going on? How did you meet him?
It was late one night as I was leaving the arbor. He was waiting on the corner in a bright white jacket, classic Saramerizian style. He asked me for a light. We shared cigarettes. Then he asked me if I ever thought about getting into some of the extra physical branches of communism.
It sounds like he was trying to recruit you into the homosexual underground.
I don't think so, Boya. I took it to mean he was asking me to join some sort of underground cell.
To grind sausage?
A very old school organizing technique. The sort of thing comunistas used to do before the revolution.
An extremely cool way to establish contact. Wish I thought of that.
It was all right. A little like something out of a Vespertine spy novel, but I must respect the effort.
What's an ideologal?
You know, a guy with a theory. Someone who likes to pit his theory against other theories in deadly theory combat.
Okay, how do I find this guy?
I couldn't tell you. Once I declined his offer, we finished our cigarettes and he disappeared back into the night. Just before he melted into the shadows, he turned to me and said, "Remember Dobrava and Abadanais." And then he was gone.
Who are Dobrava and Abadanais?
I don't know. Guess not everyone remembers.
A tight half smile crosses his face. It's so much easier to pronounce some of these words when the voice actors say them instead of being left to twist in the wind for a 60 episode playthrough that's mostly not voiced. You're just like, I help. What do you think it means?
Been wondering about that myself. Some comunista inside talk could be. Not meant for the wider public. They love that kind of thing. You'd have to ask someone who knows this Ideological personally. I have to say though, it sounds like you found yourselves a proper hunt.
The man whispers a jaunty tune. A coastal breeze ruffles his hair.
Good talking to you. Gotta run. Okay, well then what do we do? Find more? Roam the streets to sniff out comrades, find out more about the Ideological Mañana mentioned. You can't build communism alone. It's time to join your revolutionary brethren, develop your political consciousness, and put Mazovian theory into practice. But where have all the communists gone? Oh where have the communists gone? Oh where can they be? Not that guy. That guy's definitely a fascist. I don't look forward to his, like... Why is there a fascist playstyle in this game at all? I'm just like thinking about like getting buddy with that guy and like dunking on fucking Kim here and making him uncomfortable, and you'd be like, what, you can't take a joke? It's just a joke. Racism is a joke, don't you know? I'm just like, I don't like this thoughts. What a bummer.
There. Working class drunk. You know what this means, right?
Case solved.
Who's Dick Mullen now?
I am.
Cracked it. All in a good day's work.
Open and shut. I don't even need to think about this anymore. Wait, what did I crack exactly?
What do you mean, what did I crack? Look at how working class that drunk is.
It's her husband, the missing husband.
Yes, and you found him. Now go and tell the working class woman. Protect and serve, recruit.
This doesn't add up. I'm only making a fool of myself.
Do marriages make any sense? Does honor? You're not a filthy philosopher. You're an officer of law. It's time to ace this case and not brood over your reputation. We can deal with the perception management later.
Give me champagne, I'm going in.
There's no need for champagne when there's honor, recruit. Go and tell the working class woman what you found right now.
No, that's I don't think that's him. I think he's been dead the whole time, hasn't he? That's the bummer storyline. You know, it's probably a communist. It's the person who's trying to paint the town red. Very evocative looking. Oh, there.
There it is again. There's a spectral scent haunting this pair, no doubt. And it smells like sea brine mostly, because it's a pair. Years of turmoil, of hopes and dreams, ground beneath the inexorable tides of capital.
I can kind of smell dreams being ground down by capital.
Without a doubt. Your politico-olfactory cortex doesn't deceive you. The smell is coming from that balcony over there.
You mean from Cindy?
Certainement. A precocious communist youth. A symbol of a kinder, more hopeful future. Now's your chance to establish contact with your revolutionary brothers and sisters.
Cindy, come here.
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
Hey sister, let's talk politics for a minute.
And what do you know about politics?
I'm looking for comrades to help me fire up the great Mazovian sausage grinder. Will you help me? The girl erupts in a cackle that seems like it should belong to a much older woman.
Oh, that's very nice. The little piggy wants to make sausages. Out of what? His little piggy friends?
Don't worry, Kim, I would never turn you into a sausage.
It was not a concern of mine.
The lieutenant blinks once.
Sure, I know someone who'd love to talk the ideological stuff. You're looking for Steban.
Who's Steban?
A right communist who runs a mega cool and very secret meeting.
Does this Steban happen to go around in a white jacket?
He might.
Will you help me find him?
No.
She pretends to think about it for a moment. The lieutenant lets slip a sigh that seems to suggest that this turn was entirely, utterly predictable. Just tell me what you want me to do.
A wicked grin extends across her face.
Oink for me, piggy. Just once.
Come on, this is no way to treat your revolutionary brother.
Wrong! This is exactly how I treat my little brother.
Oink, oink.
There, that wasn't so bad, was it?
I like how it changed from enthusiastic to reluctant because if he was enthusiastic, you would have picked it right away. So it's reluctant because you already argued with her.
The lieutenant, needless to say, is not impressed.
Sounds like you're really serious about meeting Steban. It's touching, sort of. Steban's group meets only at night, in an old room in these apartments here. It just so happens you're in luck. Their weekly meeting is tonight. Poke your snout around sometime after 10 p.m. and you might just find them.
Hold on, what else can you tell me about Steban?
Just that he's a real communist. Not like the play acting you've been doing. The rest, you'll have to see for yourself.
Why do I feel like there's a catch?
Oh, smart pig. Because there is. See, Steban's a bit on the paranoid side. He's got all these mega secret passphrases to keep out infiltrators and the like. You can't join the meeting without one.
The lieutenant clears his throat.
Not to interfere in your personal errand, but I wonder whether it might have something to do with that phrase Mañana mentioned overhearing.
That's really dumb. You should feel embarrassed even suggesting that. Oh my god. Oh, right. Good thinking, Kim.
The lieutenant nods.
He's so good.
Guess this is what happens when two pigs put their heads together.
She seems slightly disappointed.
That's enough. Off with you then.
She makes a lazy shooing motion with her dangling hand. Catch you later, Cindy. Oh, Kim, you are just too pure for this world. He's one of the most likable, he's one of the most likable and potentially just the single most well established and like characterized companion characters ever. I kind of want to play more games where you just have one party member besides yourself, or two, and that's like it. Because if they can have this much depth, then it'd be worth it. Attend Steban's meeting at 22 o'clock. I might need him with me just because I don't think I actually remember the password. Or something, we'll see. Whoa! Don't remember that screen. There's been a lot of updates to this game. Let's see. Can I save the game? There we go. I was a bit concerned because I'm like, why doesn't it? Why won't it do? I was trying to highlight the text, but it just is already selected. Alright, so we have a lot of time to kill, but thankfully, I don't know if this was here originally or not. I didn't really have that much time killing to do originally, but you can do this.
The worn and beaten wooden planks of the bench do not look overly comforting.
We can sit on benches after we've solved the murder. Let's go.
Oh. Oh. When I loaded a file from like day 6 or something, I could rest here for an hour at a time. Maybe that only works when you're alone? Or maybe it's only for later in the game. Alright, well, time to button mash my way through a bunch of case files for a long time. Attend Steban's meeting at after 22 o'clock at the Cape Side Apartments. Okay. We should be good now. It's 22:10. I got into a nice groove eventually where there's a particular small case to read about the couches. And it's only like 3 pages long, so you could rapidly click it and loop like crazy fast. Which is nice, because the wasting time with case files is actually kind of a pain, because it has a bunch of dialogue options and often like a bunch of separate pages. And I'm slightly worried about like clicking on the wrong thing and like changing my character sometimes. Like, wait, no, that's not my thoughts. It's at the balcony apartments. There's 2 balconies. Was that red light blinking before?
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
Is it here? These nice little pronunciations. Klasje. Oranje. This is not it. Is it the blinking red light upstairs? Even the reminder, it's pronounced Revachol. I think I was blindsided by finding out halfway through the game that, like, yeah, Revachol, that's how communists, I mean, that's how fascists pronounce it. It's like, oh, God.
As you approach the metal grill, you can hear several voices having what appears to be an animated discussion.
Oh, I thought you meant anime discussion.
This must be it. Beyond this door lies the beating heart of radical communism in Martinez.
Neat.
Somehow, the night air softens the smell of trash and sea brine. As the breeze pulls through the canvas like a shuttle through a loom, you catch a hint of something unexpected. Something earthy, warm, and burnt. The acrid smell of failure. No, that's just slightly burnt coffee. A smell you would recognize anywhere.
Just look at these pigs sniffing about after hours.
Why didn't you say the secret door was right behind you?
Must have slipped my mind. You know how it goes.
She gives you a lackadaisical shrug.
The metal grill is cool to the touch. You notice the lieutenant is looking uncustomarily anxious. His posture is rigid. His right hand hovers near the zipper of his jacket. He wants so badly to draw his armistice, but he also doesn't want to draw it.
Relax, they're only communists.
Something's not right here. The equation doesn't quite balance.
He taps his foot and takes a deep breath.
Which is just to say, we should be prepared for any eventuality.
He can make out at least 2 separate voices. 2 voices, both male, approximately early 20s.
Careful with those now.
I have it. It's going to work. I can feel it.
Bang on the grill.
The clang of metal reverberates all along the scaffolding. The voices coming from the other side fall silent.
Who's there? Is that you, Maurice?
Are you all communists? I'm looking for some communists.
Who said communist? Did we say communist? Get out of here.
Listen, I've already built like 0.0001% of communism, but now I need to get organized. Can you help me?
For a moment, silence.
What's the passphrase?
It's remember Dobreva and Abanais.
There's no response. You begin to wonder whether they've slipped out some back way.
All right. The key's taped to the back of the door frame. Just make sure you put it back when you're done, or we'll all be locked out. And do watch the concrete. It just kind of falls away, in places.
Charmant. After you, detective.
It's just taped behind the door the whole time. This mystery door I could never get in.
Have fun at your underground meeting, pig. Hope it's a blast.
I always think this is her room, because the grate and so on always stuck in my brain. But that door down there is her room, and I always get it backwards. I think we've never been in here, right?
The two young men are either oblivious to or ignoring your entrance. Their attentions are fixed on whatever it is they're stacking in the middle of the floor.
You guys doing dominoes? Apparently.
Matchboxes, it appears.
I think it's holding, Alexis.
It is. It's holding.
It's definitely not holding. Those matchboxes are stacked so haphazardly, it's like they want them to collapse.
Careful, careful.
Oh, there it goes.
Damn, hardly any difference.
The young man shakes his head and then looks up at you and the lieutenant with barely concealed irritation.
You two, you are late.
They should know the meeting starts at 10 p.m. sharp.
His companion looks up at you and squints. Well, it's hard to do anything at a time sharp when you can't pass time without talking to people and then having time just fly by in this game.
There's a great deal of tension in this young man's shoulders, more than someone his age should bear. Meanwhile, his companion inclines toward him, eager to catch every word that dribbles from his friend's mouth. Don't let them see you flustered, sire. Play along.
Sire. My apologies, comrades. I had to be sure I wasn't being tailed by our class enemies. The young man considers you a moment.
We all have to take precautions, especially during these delicate times. What matters is that you've made it, and that you've done the reading.
Oops. Uh-oh. No one said anything about reading. You'll just have to wing this one. Kim, did you do the reading?
No, detective. The only reading I've been doing is right here.
Lieutenant holds up his little blue notebook. The music's getting a little much. It's drowning out the voices a little bit. I need to chill out a little bit.
I have not had time to seek out pretentious communist book clubs, nor have I done their reading.
It doesn't sound like they've done the reading, Staban.
Well, this is getting awkward. I'm not sure what you're expecting to find here then.
Maybe they can explain themselves.
What were you doing with those matchboxes just now?
The young man frowns at the little pile of boxes on the floor.
Nothing, just messing around until the meeting started.
They're watching those matchboxes awfully intently for two guys who are just messing around.
Were you literally building communism?
It's almost as though they were trying to create the most unstable structure they could.
What exactly are you two doing here?
In the most generous sense, I would say we're cultivating revolutionary consciousness.
Yes, that's probably the best way to describe it.
But more specifically, we are running a reading group. It's the most rigorous and theoretically advanced materialist reading group in Martinaise.
Comrade Staban is a great discussion leader, one of the best at the university.
Is this where I can square off in theory combat?
We have been known to get into some spirited debates, but it's always in service of our larger intellectual and ideological project.
Precisely. We are not interested in senseless parroting. We like to read critically.
Within the contours of Mazovian historical materialism, of course.
I didn't realize they taught radical Mazovian theory in the universities.
Huh. As though you can call that problem teaching.
One thing you learn quickly at university is that you're not going to find a real education in any lecture hall or discussion seminar.
We are post-attendance, basically.
Exactly. The only worthwhile part of the so-called École Normale de Reversol is the library. That's where we've made our greatest critical strides.
Okay, so what does your reading group actually read?
We study all the foundational texts of Mazovian theory, of course. Just last week we finished the second volume of Puncher and Watman's Innocence of Capital.
Truly extraordinary.
And before that we spent 6 weeks on State and Plasm.
For some reason, the word plasm catches in your ear like a piece of old wax. Uh-oh. You can feel your attention span rapidly deteriorating.
No, we're getting bored. Force yourself to keep listening.
We've also read Wertmüller's The Megastructure of History, and before that, Real and Reality.
Communist theorists love puns, in case that wasn't obvious.
Reality.
Hablars une paix infernale.
My god. Communists, they love puns. It all makes sense now.
The original Fizdale translation, not that watered down revisionist garbage.
These two deserve the Order of Honor for bullshitting. There's no way they've actually read all this stuff.
I mean, how bad could it be? The manifesto itself is like a pamphlet.
Obviously.
He snorts.
But, of course, our special emphasis is on the theories of Ignace Nilsson and his followers, especially the inframaterialists.
Wait, who are these inframaterialists?
You're not familiar with them? It's pretty advanced stuff. You may not be ready for it yet, gendarme.
The two young men exchange skeptical side glances. The guy in purple at the bar is the only other person that calls me that. Okay, but then who is this Ignace Nilsson guy?
Only Krasmazov's most trusted lieutenant, the evangelist of the revolution, and a founding father of the People's Republic of Samara.
I always reflexively wanted to pronounce it Krasmazov, probably because of Krag Maga, or whatever it's called.
It's hard to overstate how unimpressed he is that you've never heard of this world historical individual.
Legendary failure of encyclopedia?
He also happens to be the greatest communist theorist after Mazov himself. It was Nilsson who first postulated the existence of ideological plasm, which forms the basis of inframaterialist theory.
Those words again. You've got to find out what this inframaterialist stuff is all about. Whatever it is, one thing's perfectly clear. These young students have a much deeper understanding of communism than you do. You could learn a thing or two from them. If you can convince them you're one of them. The young man sighs. His companion looks about furtively.
Is the reading group accepting new members?
We typically only accept new members once per semester. There's this whole process with essays and presentations on assigned topics.
The young man turns to his companion.
But given that we have some extra seating at the moment, I guess we could be convinced to expedite an application or two.
Stepan, you can't be serious. For these gendarmes?
I am serious. As materialists, we've got to adapt to conditions as they are. Besides, he'll still need to pass the interview portion of the entrance process.
He turns back to you. Uh-oh.
Assuming he's even still interested, that is.
Composure impossible. Convince them you belong in this reading group. Oh no. Subliterate nematode? How do I be better at literacy? My composure's not even that bad, is it? 7? It looks like it's the highest stat in the entire screen except for interfacing. Yeah, I'm great at composure. It's just that hard of a check. Subliterate nematode. How do I become more literate? Where's the rest of the reading group?
What do you mean? This is the reading group.
Two's all you need. Me and Kim are the same way.
Kim and I.
The lieutenant mutters under his breath. He scribbles something in his notebook but adds nothing else.
We're in something of a rebuilding phase.
Some of our former comrades didn't have the ideological fortitude our work demands.
Okay, but what happened to them?
Intellectual attrition is maybe the best way to describe it. Felix said he couldn't keep up with the reading on top of his classwork. And Susanna wanted to read text other than Mazovian theory. Like novels, if you can believe it.
Like a book club.
Imagine the audacity of wanting to read a novel in a reading group.
Novels. Unbelievable. Shake your head.
See? Even a gendarme gets it.
We've tried recruiting new members, but unfortunately the current intellectual climate is pretty hostile to inframaterialist thought. These days, if you're on the left, the ascendant schools are the Gottwaldians and their iconoclasts.
Iconoclasts?
Don't forget about Maurice and the turnips.
Right. Then there was the whole turnip debacle.
So what's so bad about the Gottwaldians?
They're the most depressing school of communism. They love writing long books with a patina of Mazovian theory to cover up their cheap psychologizing.
A gang of cheap psychologists and intellectual midgets. Typical Gottwalders, in other words.
It's okay for Uli to say that because his dad is from Gottwald.
What's so depressing about their theories?
The Gottwald school believe that intellectuals as a class are incapable of sparking revolutionary change. So all they can do is critique capitalism from inside itself. That's why they spend all their time smoking cigarettes and writing long works of criticism that make you want to commit suicide.
It's easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of the end of capitalism. Sounds miserable.
It is miserable. That's probably why they're always committing suicide. You see, the Gottwald school look like communists. They talk like communists. But scratch the patina and you'll see beneath that they're just depressed liberals who've read too many books.
I mean, that's when you're trapped with just the idea of criticizing capitalism from within of capitalism and not ever considering the idea of ever existing outside of it. Because liberalism is the pro-capitalism ideology. Okay, but what about the iconoclasts?
For starters, they love talking about beans.
Beans?
That's right. Iconoclasts are obsessed with beans. They love thinking about beans. They love counting beans. But most of all, they love building models to predict how many beans there'll be in the future.
Nota bene, iconoclast is an extra pejorative form of the already pejorative name, Mazovian economists, a moderate school of Mazovianism which advocates the gradual transition to communism through carefully managed economic modernization rather than violent social revolution.
They're by far the most bean-centric school of communism.
I don't get it. Are the beans a metaphor?
If only. They've got all the beans accounted for in their asset sheets, their quarterly budgets, their future projections. But for some reason, there are never enough beans to go around. So we've just got to cut our bean rations in half.
And next thing you know, there are budget cuts, so now we've got to cut the bean rations in half again. You see, iconoclasts claim to be communists, but in reality they're just liberals with hard-ons for spreadsheets.
And what of the liberals? Are they liberals too?
Of course not. The only people who actually call themselves liberals are mouth-foaming reactionaries.
Basically indistinguishable from fascists. You'd need an X-ray machine to tell the difference.
The liberals are fascists. They're on note. This is Twitter. How about Cindy? Is she part of the group?
Cindy is... how to describe her role?
Something of an ideological auxiliary, perhaps.
Yes, that's exactly how I would put it. And naturally, we support her radical counter-liberal aesthetics.
But she refuses to submit an essay, so we can't call her a member of the group per se.
That doesn't stop her from using the room for studio space, of course.
Because those are all of her paintings, aren't they? In red? Did you say something about turnips?
It's an unfortunate story. You see, our ex-comrade Maurice is something of an economist.
He's studying macro and microeconomics.
That's both economics.
Wow, a real intellectual, it sounds like.
Lieutenant arches his eyebrows.
Right. So a few weeks ago we were discussing the extra physical capabilities of the revolutionary state. And Maurice said, what were his exact words, Ulex's?
It was unbelievable. He said, turnips don't care if they are grown by communists, moralists, or Vulcan. They grow just the same.
Basically, he was rejecting the whole foundation of inframaterialist theory.
Remind me what inframaterialist theory says about turnips again?
Simply that under suitably revolutionary conditions, crop yields naturally increase relative to non-revolutionary crops, which Maurice somehow has the gall to deny.
Just naturally? Okay.
Susanna said that he has been hanging out with some non-communists lately.
That's most people here, so it'd be hard not to.
For us, the question boiled down to, if you don't even accept the basic ideas of Nielsen and inframaterialist theory, why are you in the reading group?
It's communism, not magic. So you expelled Maurice from the reading group over an argument about turnips?
Well, it wasn't so much that he was expelled.
He just quit coming. We haven't seen him around for weeks.
I've heard enough. Let's talk about something else.
Go ahead.
Are chances any better? Nope. I didn't trick them into liking me or anything. Did this reading group have anything to do with the lynching, which we know it didn't because I already beat the game, but...
Lynching? No. We're not an operational cell.
We think of ourselves as more of an intellectual vanguard.
Okay, but what's your group's stance on the lynching?
Our stance? What? Do you want to know if the SRV has established a party line on the lynchings in Martinez?
The two men look at one another.
The SRV refers to the People's Republic of Samara, established as a socialist utopia by survivors of the revolution. It has since degenerated into a bureaucratic workers' state under the decades-long rule of President Sapormat Sport Kelezinski.
Though historically speaking, the SRV has supported direct action against right-wing paramilitary squads, especially when they are doing the Indo-tribes' dirty work.
Good point. So as a provisional matter, I can say we support it.
Are they being sarcastic? You feel like you're caught in some elaborate joke labyrinth, but it's impossible to see your way through.
They've just come to the conclusion that ideologically they support the murder, but didn't do it necessarily. Is your reading group affiliated with the union somehow?
No, we're an independent organization. We acknowledge and respect the union's efforts, but our interests are more theoretical than Mr. Clare's.
He speaks the truth.
So what's your stance on crime in general?
That's easy. Crime is simply the inevitable expression of the injustice and incoherence embedded within capitalism itself.
Delivered with the smug assurance of a schoolboy reciting a maxim he's committed to memory.
Yeah, it's a bit of a all-encompassing look. It's just too much. You can't apply it to literally everything.
It's a symptom, in other words, not a cause.
He waves his hand as though this is all there is to say on the subject of crime. Crime is just too broad of a topic.
His companion can barely suppress a yawn.
Are there any operational communists in Martinez?
No, unfortunately. The communards were hunted down and killed nearly to a man. All that's left of them are bones and old rifles.
Like this one.
His companion's eyes widen as you hold up the ancient weapon. He's practically itching to stick that thing in someone's face and pull the trigger.
Damn.
Yes, like that one. I wonder how many of these are still lying around in cellars or sealed up behind the masonry.
He knits his brows together and then looks up.
Can I hold it?
Sure. It's not like it works.
It's heavier than I was expecting.
The rifle rests in his open palms. Its position reminds you of something.
The attitude of a priest bearing one of the holy relics of his faith. Though it is long out of service, its power is evident to him.
Oh, is this my way in? Is this the secret payoff of the stupid gun I've held around? Which I think this was just useless ultimately, wasn't it? Like I kept hoping it might help and it just didn't.
When he's finished, he returns the rifle to you with a nod of appreciation.
Nope. Fuck. Let me in the reading group. Let me in the reading group. I need to experience the content. That's enough for tonight. Will you still be here if I have more questions?
Sure. We're here most every night. Maybe we'll catch you again.
Sleep well, gendarme.
Shit. I need to trick these people into liking me. Probably via, VIP book club. Let me in, please. There you go. I'll probably save scum if I can't get in, just because I'll be like, I came here to experience this. I'm not gonna go through all this and then get closed off by a skill check. A rickety easel surrounded by pots of goose. This one says no war but class war. Cindy's, no doubt. This poster reads, under the cobblestones, communism. Trying to think about the cracks spidering out across the floor. There's a metaphor here, right? Because this was all wiped out to get rid of communism, and like the damage is spreading towards them, threatening to swallow them up too. Coffee. Reflective construction vest, plus endurance minus reaction speed. I just stole that from him. Alright, I need every bit of composure I can get. That's just where we're at now. My only chance. But it might be already as high as it could possibly be, because it's like a skill that I already valued. Oop, composure. It was a yellow skill. I was looking for a blue skill. Whoops. Out of practice. Were any of these yellow, though? Savoir-faire, perception, reaction speed, interfacing. I think I was holding... Yeah, I had something with negative composure, which is weird, because there's like cyber monster feet. You think they'd make me great at composure? Nope. I have a +1 from my shoes. Any of these tools got stats? Morale, physique, oranges. Do I have any composure drugs? This is what I've got, basically. I've got slightly nicer shoes. Wow. What a way to go, me.
The gendarme returns. What do you need?
I'm guessing these pots of gouache belong to Cindy.
Yeah, it's hers. She just sort of moved it all in a few months ago.
She said if she's going to make truly radical art, she needs a suitably radical workspace.
A crumbling cliff.
And I don't think she could afford rent at an actual studio.
Do you like her art?
Oh, sure. It's definitely interesting, I would say.
Interesting. Isn't that just Binoclad for I don't have a real opinion?
Wait, I thought interesting was what people said when they don't have anything real to add.
His companion's eyes widen with interest. He has a cold smile.
Come on. It's not that I don't have anything to say about Cindy's art. It's more that I'm still working out the details. It's a complex question. You've got to take your time with it. I guess you could call her latest stuff a sort of counter-bourgeoisie calligraphy. She's got a real taste for radical slogans.
It's too bad she hasn't developed the theoretical foundation to do truly radical work.
I basically called out his need to sound clever when he has nothing to say.
I think she'll get there, though. She's still looking for a subject equal to her ambitions.
Now I'm wondering, what's the deal with this place?
The deal? At a fundamental level, I guess you could call it the shattered bones of a dream crushed by capital.
That's really good, Steban. You should save that for an essay.
Thanks, Uli. When the idea is sound, the words just sort of flow.
Yes, now keep developing the idea.
If this place is the shattered bones, that must make us the bone weevils.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not as good as Steban's original idea, though.
Oh yeah, well why don't you two just fuck already? Okay, let's move on.
Go ahead.
Damn it. It's so hard to composure. Convince them you belong in the reading group.
Is it getting warm in here? There seems to be a little pool of sweat forming in the depression of your lower back.
Why is this shit happening? I thought I had my shit together.
You did. You must be extremely nervous for some reason.
It's because I don't do well in interviews.
No, you're terrible at them. The thought of everyone looking at you, judging you, makes you want to heave, frankly.
Definitely not sweating, no sir. Dab the sweat on with your shirt.
Excellent work. Now there's a dark handprint on the back of your shirt. Everyone will be able to see the evidence of your overactive sweat glands.
Why am I getting so worked up? They're just a couple of kids.
Let's be frank. They're probably way smarter than you. You bet they've read more books than you can even name. Of course, it wouldn't kill you to crack open a book every once in a while.
I tried. I went to the bookstore and everything. I read about a dumb barbarian and like a noir detective, I think, or something. I tried.
The hardest part will just be working up the nerve to ask without soiling yourself.
What is wrong with me?
Everything all right, gendarme? You look a little green about the gills.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Just gotta level up my composure real quick. Bing. Wow, look at me go. Let's try this again.
Gendarme returns. What do you need?
42%'s way better.
Okay, you got this. You got this. Just open your mouth and say the words. What are those sounds? They're like the last mumblings of a mortally wounded badger. There's nothing you can do. It's like your lips have been glued together.
Everything in order, detective?
The lieutenant gives you a concerned look. Shake your head no.
As in, no, everything is not in order? Can you give me a negative, detective?
What is it? Are you scared because you can't remember a single book you've read?
Nod?
Is everything all right? Is he trying to say something?
The young man turns to the lieutenant.
It seems he's lost his words. A case of momentary aphasia, it looks like.
The lieutenant does not appear overly concerned.
These things happen with him sometimes. I recommend a change of subject.
Nod your head.
This isn't going to work. Maybe there's some other way you can prove yourself to them?
Listen, there's got to be some other way I can prove myself to the group, unless I do another composure point. Damn it. Do I have to restart the conversation?
The gendarme returns. What do you need?
58%, come on.
Nope. Still no words. Your confidence account is overdrawn. What are you even doing here?
How is this hard? I think I'm out of points, right? That was all of my level ups. Wow, that was improbable.
Now you're just psyching yourself out. You've read plenty of books. Maybe try again once you've got your wits about you.
Listen, there's got to be some other way I can prove myself to the group.
Some other way? If you're not much of a reader, why are you so dead set on joining this reading group?
It's important that I further my critical studies.
I suppose we are all here to advance our studies in some form or another. But to be perfectly frank, I just don't see it happening.
Steban, a moment.
The young man's companion beckons him into a private conversation.
What? Really? You're saying... But there's no way... Uh-huh. Yes. Okay. I am listening.
A note of real uncertainty in his voice.
All right, gendarme. Comrade Ulexes and I have conferred about it, and we've come up with an alternative way for you to convince us of your commitment to the group.
What's that?
The young man gives his companion an uncertain glance. The companion nods his head vigorously.
I want you to hit me.
Hit you?
Doesn't have to be a hard hit. Just enough to leave a mark. The idea is to show Maurice and those other traitors that we are the only reading group hardcore enough to tangle with the RCM.
Ah, so we are beating the youth now. That's an unexpected development.
Yes, it is.
Of course, this isn't some punch-out competition. You just want to leave a harmless bruise.
Kim, how bad an idea is this?
The lieutenant looks at you, then at the young man. He seems to be giving your question serious consideration.
Speaking as an officer of the RCM, it is an extremely bad idea to strike a civilian without cause.
Is it without cause when they ask you to?
However, if one were to strike a civilian, which again I would never recommend, one should at least follow the RCM manual's guidance on non-lethal strikes.
What does the manual say?
It advises officers in physical altercations to rely on the open palm strike, as opposed to the backhand in non-lethal situations. I can't recall the exact explanation, but it has something to do with the kinetic energy stored in the elbow. Basically, you are less able to control a backhanded slap, and therefore more likely to cause serious injury. Or even death, if, say, you happen to be wearing a set of armored ceramic gauntlets.
Oh god, I literally am.
At the same time, this is emphatically your thing, so do as you will.
Well, gendarme, what are we waiting for?
I am wearing the glyphs. Hey, Kim, what if you hit him?
There's no what if, because I won't. This is your thing, remember?
Hit him, but not too hard. Oh! I'm so bad at physical instrument. I'm gonna kill him.
Too strong, killer.
I didn't even listen to his advice. I backhanded him anyway. Too strong? Is he dead?
Ensconced in your ceramic armor, you barely notice the moment of contact, but you do hear the distinct ting of your knuckles catching the young man's cheekbone.
Esteban? Can you hear me?
You alright?
Good God, detective, what's wrong with you?
He's still alive.
Ah.
The young man cradles his jaw and looks up, his expression blank. I couldn't take the gloves off. The only option was to abandon the task.
You're both lucky you didn't shatter his cheekbone. He may want to count his teeth before he goes to bed tonight.
Oh, God, I'm sorry about that.
Sorry? You nearly took my fucking jaw off.
You think you can hear a slight popping sound as he moves his mouth.
It seems the phase of violent reaction has revealed itself.
Violent reaction.
All right, you maniac. Let's see if you can use your brain as well as you use your fists.
The young man takes a moment to massage his bruised jaw. I couldn't take the gloves off. They wouldn't let me.
Here's your first assignment. It's an overview of inframaterialist theory. A little basic, as you'll see, but one has to start somewhere.
Guess it's time to see what this book stuff is all about.
It's sweet how excited you are. Come back when you're done. We'll be here pretty much every night after 10 p.m. Do be sure to take your time with the reading. We'll be eager to hear your thoughts.
Hey, we did it. That was alright. It's neat to be getting back into this. I'm not looking forward to coming up with you can't just skip to the end of the day, because I also need to come up with money to spend the night. Ugh. That gets me in trouble. That mechanic's a bit frustrating. Alright, well, I'll figure it out.